Right now, as you watch this video, there's a 90% chance you're holding your phone in one specific hand, your right hand. It's something you've probably never even questioned. You write with it, you eat with it, you wave hello with it. But here's the strange part. No other animal on Earth does this. Not chimpanzees, not gorillas, not a single species of monkey or ape. Some individual animals do favor one paw or one hand, but as an entire species, they split roughly 50-50. Humans are the only species on the entire planet with such an overwhelming population-wide preference. And for decades, scientists genuinely could not explain why, until now. Researchers have studied handedness for decades. They've looked at our brains, our genes, even how we developed in the womb. In 2024, scientists found a specific gene called TUB-B4B that appeared slightly more often in left-handed people. Interesting, but it explained only a tiny piece of the puzzle. The bigger mystery remained completely unsolved. Why did evolution push humans so dramatically towards one side? Other primates simply don't show this pattern. Some chimps prefer their left hand, some prefer their right. Across an entire population, it evens out, almost perfectly. So why are we so different? Theories blamed everything: diet, tool use, social structure, habitat. Nobody had ever properly tested them, all at once, against each other, until two researchers at Oxford University decided to finally settle the debate. In April 2026, a team led by Dr. Thomas Puschel and Rachel Hurwitz published their findings in the journal PLOS Biology. Their approach was genuinely massive in scale. They gathered handedness data from over 2,000 individual monkeys and apes, covering 41 completely different species. Then, using something called Bayesian phylogenetic modeling, a statistical method that maps how closely related different species are on the evolutionary tree, they tested every major theory simultaneously: diet, body size, habitat, tool use, social structure, brain size, and locomotion, all at once, competing directly against each other. It was, by far, the most rigorous attempt ever made to finally solve this evolutionary puzzle. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. When the researchers first ran their model, without controlling for anything specific, humans stood out immediately. We weren't just slightly unusual, we were a complete statistical outlier. The data showed humans with a measurement called the MHI of 0.76, representing an extremely strong rightward bias. Meanwhile, the model's prediction for what humans should look like, based on every other primate, was a flat 0. We didn't just break the pattern, we shattered it completely. For a while, it looked like humans truly were, an inexplicable evolutionary anomaly, a complete mystery with no clean explanation, until the team added two specific variables into the equation. The first variable was something called the intermembral index, a simple comparison between the length of your arms versus your legs. Humans have unusually long legs compared to our arms, a clear physical signature of a body built specifically for walking upright, not swinging through trees, not moving, on all fours, walking on two legs. And here is the key insight. The moment our ancestors stood upright, their hands were suddenly freed completely from the job of locomotion, no longer needed for climbing or crawling, suddenly available for entirely new tasks: carrying objects, manipulating early tools, gesturing while communicating. This single shift created brand new evolutionary pressure for more specialized and more lateralized hand use, the very first stage towards becoming right-handed. The second variable was brain size. As early human ancestors evolved, their brains grew dramatically larger and more intricately organized. According to the researchers, this is where the bias truly hardened. Early ancestors, like Ardipithecus and Australopithecus, likely showed only a mild rightward tendency, barely noticeable, but that mild bias intensified significantly through Homo erectus, through the Neanderthals, before finally peaking in us, Homo sapiens. The researchers summarized it perfectly. Our unusual gait was the main initial driver of our exceptional handedness, strength, while our large brain is more closely linked to its direction. Once both factors were added into the model, the prediction for human handedness jumped from a flat 0 to 0.74, almost perfectly matching the real observed number. The mystery was finally solved. This research also revealed something else, genuinely fascinating. Because the model works backwards too, the team used it to estimate likely handedness in species that no longer exist. Take Homo floresiensis, the so-called hobbit species. Their brains were relatively small, and their bodies retained adaptations for both climbing and walking, rather than being fully committed to upright movement. Based on the model, they likely had a much weaker right-hand bias than modern humans. Exactly what the theory would predict. So, what about left-handed people today? They're not a mistake or an error in the system. They're simply the visible edge of a bias that was never going to be absolutely universal. Roughly 10% of us sit outside the dominant pattern, a living reminder that evolution rarely deals in perfect absolutes. So, next time you pick up a pen or reach for your phone without even thinking about it, remember this: that tiny, automatic, unconscious motion is the end result of millions of years of evolution, of standing upright, of growing a bigger brain, of becoming distinctly human. A puzzle that genuinely stumped scientists for decades, solved by one of the largest primate studies ever conducted. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe. We dig up stories like this every single week. The hidden science behind the things you do without even realizing it. I'll see you in the next one.